They were essentially doing roadshows to do their IPO. So there were no exits. People didn't really know that you could really make money by doing startups, right? Startup was a craze, it was a fad then. So it was very difficult to convince parents, right? And that's essentially, at least things were a lot more difficult then, right? My partner used to Bangalore, he had a bunch of girls to meet, to prospective brides to meet, right? As soon as the prospective fathers-in-law figured out that he's going to become an entrepreneur, the entire pipeline vanished. Right? So being an entrepreneur during that time at least was as close to being unemployed. Right? It was that. Right? So even convincing our family was also a lot more difficult. I was married to my engineering classmate, and Aprama was my engineering batchmate also. So the first thing that she said was that you guys don't really have the courage to do the startup. She used a different word, but you guys are smart. You guys don't have the courage to really do the startup. So, but what we essentially asked her was, give us two years, right? We did, I should not be saying this here, we did 2 years of MBA and we don't know what we actually learned, right? So, it was 2 years. Right? So, give us 2 years, let's figure that out, right? And if we are not going anywhere in those 2 years, we'll get back to our jobs, right? I think, given that we were, I was a consultant and he was a BD guy, a failure teaches a lot more than successes, right? Probably I would end up being a better consultant after those 2 years, right? He would be a better business development guy. We gave ourselves 2 years, right? So then what do? Right? We gave ourselves, so startup requires money initially. Either to get married to someone who has, so that you have a rich father-in-law, so that is taken care of, or get married to someone who is probably ready to work abroad and stuff like that. So it was fairly simple. So in our case, Aprama was unemployed literally, so not married. So I was married, and popular perception is that when you start something, you will be extremely busy, you will not be able to spend time with family, which is something that my wife also knew. So I just told her that, even know that we will not be able to spend time with each other. She said yes. Then there is no point in you and me staying in the same city. Why don't you go abroad, earn in dollars and send the money here? So I had the freedom and I had the money and I didn't know what to do with it. Right? That's so on a serious note, right? So you need to really have some way to really ensure that things really work out, right, before you essentially start. So one is essentially getting into a startup, it's a risky venture, right, but it doesn't really mean that you do an all-in. It may not necessarily be worth it to do an all-in, right? You ensure that something else is happening in the family, really do that. Because why this is important, because you go through a lot of stress during the journey, whether it's going to be a successful startup or whether it's going to be a failure. The one reality in a startup is you're going to go through a phenomenal amount of shit. That's the reality, right? Whether you like it or not, you need to face it. But the last thing that you really want is something else killing you guys, because something within the family is not really adequate. Stays status quo, or something is really happening on the family front, so that you can completely be immersed in that. You can't really fight two battles simultaneously. It is not even, it's an unnecessary battle to fight both the personal and the professional battle together, right? Pick and choose what battles that you want to fight, right? And that's where the timing also really comes to the picture. All right, so that's the way we went about doing that. So we had a great idea. Wife was not there, and there was money, right? And so now, given that both of graduates from Ahmedabad, right? We were too far away from coding, right? And we wanted to find a tech co-founder. I think most of the people here also would be probably facing more or less the same thing, right? So I don't know how I passed out of Ahmedabad in 2011. And we started in 2011. So I was 29 years old, and many people of my engineering batch had made the same mistake as I did by doing MBA. So they were still working with the Yahoos, Googles, and the Facebooks of the world, right? So we thought that it's a lot more easy for us to stuff like that, and if we are excited with the idea, they will also get excited with the idea and things like that, which happened. So all of our batchmates, everyone was excited with the idea, right? Thing is, if you don't do your MBA, you essentially take a housing loan in India. We didn't know that. If you either do your MBA and essentially get education loan, you have a choice. Either you do MBA and get an education loan, or essentially continue working as an engineer or get a housing loan. Right? Loan you need to have. Right? And that's the reality of life. I guess that's how India really works. So people believed in the idea, but people wanted us to pay their housing EMIs. First of all, we don't really have any money to survive ourselves, and how do we pay that? So even because of which it becomes a lot more difficult for us to really do that. We spent a whole lot of time trying to do that. So because our batchmates were not really there, we essentially went after their siblings. We did all those, but nothing really more. And eventually we started learning coding ourselves and started doing it on our own, right? And the another bigger problem there was because we loved the idea, we fell in love with the idea. We were not willing to share the idea with anyone else. We thought that some people are better at coding, can copy the idea, and can essentially do this. Set us back by 8 months. That approach set us back by 8 months. Because we were not sharing it with anyone. People didn't really believe in the idea. People whom we thought that they will do it. So people didn't believe in the idea because we are not sharing it completely. Right, so no one was ready to help. After we lost that 8-9 months, then we essentially became extremely shameless. Whether people were interested in listening to us or not didn't matter. Go to any meetings, any alumni meet, go to any other meetings, any startup conferences or not, whether people are interested in listening or not doesn't really matter. We are going to share our ideas. Through that, some guy essentially felt that, oh, this is nice, and he knew someone, and he was in touch with that person, and then things started rolling. Right, and that's essentially how we started going ahead and building the team, right? So if I have an idea, do share with people, right? Do discuss it with people. Either they will essentially tell you why things are not going to work, or they are ready to help. If they feel that this is a great idea, they are going to help you, but you need to talk, right? Working in a stealth mode is great, but hiding the idea, not sharing the idea is going to harm you a lot more than what you really think, right? Ideas can never be an IP. Right? If someone wanted to really do that, they would have already done. They were not just waiting for you to give the idea and for them to really work on. Right? That usually doesn't really happen. And I think people are busy with their own life, and they are essentially working on their stuff all by themselves. They don't want someone to give them an idea and stuff like that. Right? So share. That's essentially what I've noticed with a whole lot of entrepreneurs. They don't want to share their idea completely because they think that someone else is better positioned to do that. What they need to understand is people are not waiting on their toes to essentially get an idea and jump into that. Right, and not many people would really appreciate any idea also to that extent. So share the idea and stuff like that, right? So what are the kind of ideas that you need to really look at, right? So now because you are going to share the idea and stuff like that, right? What really makes sense is there a first mover advantage? Correct? Is there a first mover advantage? If you are going to share the idea, if someone else would assuming that they will do it, is there a first mover advantage? But at least whatever limited understanding that I have, I don't think so there is a first mover advantage unless you are too late. Few days or a few weeks or a few months here and there would not really make much of a difference. Right? There is nothing called a first mover advantage phenomenally. Right? Because if you are looking at a consumer startup, there is absolutely no brand loyalty. Correct? Flipkart started in 2007, Amazon came in 2011. You guys know where you guys stand there. There is absolutely no loyalty, right? Same with Uber, Ola, TFS, any startup that you really look at, right? There is no brand loyalty. Whoever essentially does a phenomenal execution, whoever caters to the consumer need and satisfy that need in a phenomenal fashion, they are the ones who will take the market and go. But having said that, you should not be too late also, right? So there are certain competitive advantages. There is nothing called a first mover advantage. But there are certain competitive advantages, right? One, what we need to really understand is, we need to figure out whether the competitor has essentially reached that competitive advantage stage or not, right? For example, Netflix. If you want to build another Facebook and WhatsApp, not going to happen, because for them to acquire a new user, hardly cost them any money. There is a lot more value for the user is getting by coming onto a Facebook or a WhatsApp platform because all the friends are there. That is network effect, and you can't beat a network effect, right? Then you are too late. It's not understand the difference between a first mover advantage and a competitive advantage. That's extremely critical. There is something called nothing like a first mover advantage, but you are too late for Facebook and WhatsApp to get to that network effect stage. Then you want to start something similar to that, not going to happen. Then you are essentially taking unnecessary risk, right? So the second one is